and welcome to another episode of Truth in Movies. I'll be your professor today, JayDreamerZ. Have a seat, class, and today we're going to dive into the wizarding world. We'll talk about Harry Potter, we'll talk about the Sorcerer's Stone, or as it's more commonly known, the Philosopher's Stone, and I'll teach you exactly what that is. One clue, it's not a small rock as it's shown in the movies. All right, class, have a seat. Please, everyone have a seat. Grab your multi-flavored jelly beans and snacks if you have them. And let's dive right into today's presentation. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Now, we start things off by being shown this particular street. It's called Privet Drive. Privet Drive. So, privet, what does privet mean? Remember, the movies are always teaching you something. They're always showing you something. They're disclosing the real world, the wizarding world, the world of magic that we have been blinded to you. If you pay attention, you can learn a lot. Now, Privet's Drive, it also has an owl. It also has two poles right there. Now, if we take a look at the word privet, we find that it has the meaning of a hedge. This particular plant is called a privet. It's the type of plant that people use to create boundaries or fences or hedge fences around their property. So there's different types. Oftentimes these will be used or formed into mazes, and you'll have hedge mazes. But Privet Drive, if we look at the anagrams for Privet Drive and we rearrange the letters, we find that it also spells out VIP diverter, somebody who would divert a VIP. Well, we all know that Harry Potter is the VIP in this movie. It also spells out divert viper. Now that's interesting because there's going to be a snake or viper correlation with Harry Potter. Now you might learn a bit about the serpent. You might learn about the symbolism of the viper or the snake that really isn't a snake when we're talking about the serpents, the fiery serpents, which are altogether different. They are forms of magic. They are forms of energy in its purest state called plasma. So, Privet's Drive, this is the place where the VIP, Harry Potter, will be diverted, or people will try to divert him from his path. It is also the place where they will try to divert you from your path when you're on the border or the boundary between worlds, when you're on the edge of being a truth seeker and the rest of the world trying to pull you in and have you accept the world as it is and be told what to believe instead of being a student and searching things out for yourself to learn. I'll explain the viper symbolism and the snake symbolism in a bit. Now, we meet a wizard here. This happens to be the headmaster Dumbledore. And he comes to this land of the Muggles, a land of people who do not have magic. And this is going to be where Harry Potter, as a baby, is going to be delivered. He's going to be brought to a house where his aunt and uncle live so that they can raise him. First thing he does is he takes his little mechanical wand deal out and he turns off all the lights. He takes away the lights on all of these streets. So the lights on these lamp poles, which are symbolic of geoplasmas that erupt up from our world as the lamps of the world in an age of light, are taken away. They all retract, they all go away, and the world goes dark. This is as it should be if we are introducing the savior figure, if we are introducing the light of the world, or the hero, or the champion, because it is always dark in the beginning. Whether it is the beginning of that champion's demise, or that hero figure or savior figure's demise or death, or if it is the beginning of their birth and their introduction into this world, the lights must go out. And so they do. So, Headmaster Albus Dumbledore makes the lights go out. And then him and another one of the professors start talking about one of the groundskeepers, we'll say, for Hogwarts, a giant named Hagrid. Hagrid has been charged with bringing Harry Potter or delivering this baby into the world of the non-magical people. Harry Potter is the quintessence, the core of all things that are magic. And he has an opposite, which is in the form of him whose name we don't say, which we shall return to. But this right here is what they look up and see. This is what the movie shows us. You see like almost like a wreath made by the trees themselves. And then you see this, which almost looks like the moon, but don't be deceived. That's no moon. The light grows brighter. And I will show you and I will tell you the truth, as always, of what it actually is. They will allow you to think one thing, which is the surface level, which is that's just a light behind some trees, and the movie will show me in a minute. And I should just believe whatever the movie shows me. But if you're a researcher, if you're a wizard to be, if you're a witch to be, if you're a wise one to be, which by the way does not always mean that you are evil because you have that particular title. We'll talk about that more in a bit too. But this is Hagrid arriving. I'll show you Hagrid in a moment. Let's look at his name. Hagrid is a past participle, something that has already been done, of Hagrid. And Hagrid comes from hag-ride, which is two different words. Hag, which is a witch, a sorceress, an enchantress. Specifically, it's usually a female witch or a female wizard. A magical person nonetheless. Hag-ride. To ride originally meant to ride an animal, to ride a horse, and then over time to ride machinery, to ride bicycles, to ride, I don't know, motorcycles. His full name is Rubus Hagrid. Rubus means red. That's why you have the red color of the ruby. It is a red by nature. So Rubus Hagrid means red witch rider, or red that has tormented, as the word Hagrid itself is past tense of to torment, actually. And it's to torment as in a dream. It's more like a haunting, okay? It's not that Hagrid himself causes fear, although he could to people who don't understand who and what he is, but it is a reference to the time when our sky was red, the time of giants, the time of heroes in antiquity. And this is what we are being shown. This is an alchemical drawing. It's a symbolic drawing or a cartoonified drawing that ancient wise people who worked with chemicals and elements, and they were basically scientists of sorts, powerful people, magicians, sorcerers, witches, whatever you'd like to call them, they drew out these alchemical drawings. This drawing shows you the arbor vita, which means the tree of life. Like Arbor Day is tree day, right? So arbor, vita. Vita means life. Now, right above the tree of life, we have a portion of the sky, the physical portion of the sky, the firmament itself, the dome above us that droops down and hangs downward. This is known, or what I call, the apex dome. You may call it what you like, and others will call it many different things. But if you say apex dome, I will always understand what you mean. It is the apex of the firmament, the portion that droops down and hangs down like an all-seeing eye, like a chandelier, like a light, like an eyeball, watching from above. And it is always located directly above the tree of light. It is always portrayed when it is seen as being surrounded by vaporous clouds. And it contains the stars because it creates the luminaries. So this right here is Hagrid arriving. This is what we see in the movie. When they look up and they see the laurel wreath or the tree leaves, and then this bright white moon in the background. The moon itself. Remember, Hagrid, his name means red, rubeus, red. So if he is the substance of the moon, not the luminary, but the portion of the lens above us that projects its own image into our sky that we call the moon, then he is the red moon, the ruby-colored moon, the blood moon. The blood moon, you have never seen a blood moon, class. You have never seen one, even if you have seen an eclipse. That is nothing like the blood moon that is to come. There are two different colors of moons that will mark each apocalyptic cycle. Each beginning and each end is marked by a different color of moon. And the moon that is on our way is going to be, anyone? I'll give you a hint. Not red. You will see a blue moon. And then the next moon you see after that will be a red moon. But the moon will turn blue. That's why it is once in a blue moon. It will turn blue because the sun itself will turn blue. We understand these things if we study the apocalyptic cycles, where we go back and forth between red and blue. The red world, the blue world. The red sky, the blue sky. The time of magic, the time of technology. And we will keep forever going back and forth until some of you figure out how to escape. The red shape in the sky will be called, as it has been called in the Colburn Bible, the doom shape, or the dome shape. It is a bowl, it is a dome, it is the dome shape that is seen in the sky. And within the Colburn Bible itself, it is described as having a ruddy, which means red, glow, and a bloody redness to it when it does appear in the sky. Now, in the movie, we have to personify that particular phenomenon, that particular wondrous thing that people see in the heavens, and they don't quite understand it. So we project ourselves onto these things because we tend to be a bit haughty. We tend to be a bit proud of ourselves and put ourselves above nature. So we project humanity upon those phenomenons that we don't understand. So we literally put a hag riding a bike, or a hag rid, or a hag ride. So the moon comes down to earth, symbolically, which will also happen whenever that portion of the dome, the apex dome itself, breaks off and falls to the earth. So Hagrid comes down, and he brings the young Harry Potter as a baby. They say this boy will be famous. There won't be a child in our world who doesn't know his name. Notice how they didn't say there won't be a person in our world. There won't be a human in our world. They didn't even say there won't be a muggle or a wizard. They said there won't be a child who does not know his name. That is because you and I are children. We are all smalls. We are all infants in comparison to how long we will live when we get to the time of wizardry and witchcraft and magic. Strange times, wild times, dangerous times. All the things that are symbolized by the color red itself, which will be the color of the sky, a red spectrum that we will start off with. You children have already heard of the name of the child. The child is brought into this world. The child is not a physical little helpless baby that needs to be reared by two human beings. The child is more than human. The child is something powerful, and it is born into this world by this world itself. It is the light of the world. It is the story of Jesus Christ. So Harry Potter himself is a type of Jesus figure. Now, I ask you, if you're a Christian, especially if you're a very hardcore Christian, to please keep your thoughts reserved until the end of the presentation. Because within mainstream Christianity especially, but the other religions are no exception, you are all taught that things like this are complete blasphemy, that they are just evil and wrong by nature. But I'm asking you to consider that your world is upside down, that you have been flipped topsy-turvy, that your very minds have been flipped around and gone through their own polarity reversal along with the Earth's. Everything in this world is backwards. Now, Harry Potter has a little note from the wizards to his future step-parents, Mr. and Mrs. Dursley, and it shows the address, 4 Privet Drive. So we already learned what privet means, right? It's those bushes that make a boundary. So 4 boundaries. 4 boundaries at the center of the world. This is where the light is born. This is where the largest opening on the earth is, where all of those inner earth gases will be released and become ionized as a pillar of light that shoots up into the heavens, spreading out the wings of creation, or its loving arms for all to see. The 4 corners the 4 boundaries, the 4 separations that hold 4 tribes, or really 12 that are split into 3 each. Harry Potter. And we all know that Harry Potter was marked as a baby, as a young child, by Voldemort, or he who shall not be named. But we will name him, because you must. You must learn the name. Learning the names is essential. Learning the names is a part of the truth-seeking journey. Learn your own name. Start there. You don't need to know what Voldemort means. You don't need to know what Harry Potter means. You need to start at home. Learn what your name means. As a matter of fact, if you know what your name means, I highly encourage you to type it into the chat. Share with everyone. Teach others. Come together. But let's look at the mark. He has a mark on his forehead. It looks at first glance like it could be a lightning bolt, stylized, but it's deeper than that. This is not simply a lightning bolt, but it's an ancient letter. It is the letter Nun. The letter Nun within the Phoenician alphabet, or the Paleo-Hebrew alphabet, looks just like that. Looks very much like a lightning bolt. As a matter of fact, the further back in time we go, it starts to look like people thought it was maybe a snake. It's the first letter of the word Nachash, which means serpent, not snake. Remember, there's a difference between the two. Nachash starts with the letter N. Nun, which translates to the number 50, actually, which is interesting. There is a biblical character who is known as the son of Nun. Some people would say the son of none, which can be also interpreted as the son of no one. Interesting. But let's look at the letter Nun as a little lightning bolt. I mean, it does look like the letter N literally on his forehead, doesn't it? That's because it is the letter N on his forehead. So here's the evolution of the letter N. It started off way over here in early Hebrew or Phoenician, and it had a little head at the top. It is because it is a ball of plasma flying through the sky, leaving a trail of ionized gas behind it. And then they drew it more like a lightning bolt, because our atmosphere started to change and it didn't sustain electricity ambient in the atmosphere to just hang out. And electrical phenomenon started dissipating and only being seen quicker and quicker and quicker and for a shorter amount of time as our atmosphere changed and the pressure started to increase. And the gases started to change in our atmosphere. What does Nun mean? What does that little symbol on his head mean? Well, in the Paleo-Hebrew, in the Phoenician, which is directly related to Harry Potter, the phoenix, it means sprouting seed. It conveys to continue on, especially through an heir, a son, a child, offspring, life. The ancient pictograph is a picture of a seed sprouting, representing the idea of continuing to a new generation. Perpetual offspring, heir, a child being born. Here's some other versions of the letter Nun over time. Here it is again. So these are various letters. Here is Nun over here, starting off just like this. But remember, as we go through polarity shifts, we go through shifts in how people wrote letters. So as you can see, the letter started to flip around backwards. Many of the ancient pictures, which are where we got our letters, is from pictures, over time turned into shorthand. They were nicknamed, they were nicked, they were cut into shorthand. And then those cuts and those little glyphs were twisted and almost flipped upside down and backwards over time, giving us an upside down and backwards alphabet, or aleph bet, or strong house. So here's an example of why Harry's letter Nun is backwards. If he were to look into the mirror, then he would see it correctly. Does that make sense? So this is his, and this is what he would see when he looks into the mirror. Does that make sense? It's for him. It's not for other people to understand. It is for him to understand. He needs to find out his origins. He needs to understand who he is. He needs to know himself. I also put in here on his t-shirt, Hari, in Phoenician. In Paleo-Hebrew, Har means mountain, my mountain. Harry Potter. Interesting. We'll take a look at that too. So we zoom in and his little lightning bolt actually fills with light because that's what it is. It is plasma originally. It is the seed of life originally. Nothing physical as a portion of the body, not an actual seed that would sprout out a plant or something, but the substance, the first substance, the prima vitae, the first life that gives birth to all other forms and all other substances. That brings us to our title screen, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Now, Harry Potter wakes up. His aunt is yelling at him. You might think he's in bed, but he lives under the stairs in a closet. Well, that's interesting because of who he represents. He represents the janitor god, Janus. He represents the Garden of Eden and the mountain, or the Har at the center of the world. Hari, my mountain, right? And he lives in the closet. He lives under the stairs. The stairs are also portrayed as a ladder, or Jacob's ladder. It is this electrical beam of energy that shoots up from Mount Meru that people see as creating these little toroidal steps all the way up to the heavens. And he lives underneath that. He is the rock of Jacob's ladder. So traditionally in the Bible, a character named Jacob put his head onto a rock as a pillow, and he dreamed that he saw this ladder and angels were going up and down on this ladder. He dreamed of the tree of life. He dreamed of the Axis Mundi. He dreamed of Mount Meru that shot energy high up into the heavens. And that's why Harry Potter must live under the stairs. He must live in a closet, a cleaning closet, because he represents the ultimate cleaner of the world, the janitor god, the one that will clear everything away by a great reset that is caused by the earth itself. Now, Harry Potter comes out. Everyone's getting ready for his cousin's birthday party. Not Harry Potter's birthday, but this kid over here, Dudley. His mom says she wants everything to be perfect for Dudley's birthday on his special day. Of course, we would begin with a birthday, as it should be. Right? We're always starting things off with a birthday or a marriage or a funeral or something like that. The day of birth and the day of death, the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. What is the meaning of Dudley? What's this kid represent? Let's figure that out by looking at his name. Dudley originates from Old English and translates to Dada's clearing, or Dada's field, you could say, a clearing or a field. The Old English name Dada likely means heavy, rotund, and plump. Interesting that they would choose that. Do you think they accidentally chose these names? Or do you believe that the movies are sharing the truth with you, that they must choose these names because they're accurate, they're no lies, they're not fiction? Now, his stepfather is actually his uncle, Dudley's dad. Says, "Bring me my coffee, boy." And immediately I start a disdain for the family. I start to not enjoy or to not like these people. They're unloving. They're uncaring. They're lacking all of the fruits of the Spirit. They're just bad people. They're hateful. So it's his birthday. The mom lets him see his presents. He's looking at all the presents. She goes, "Aren't they wonderful, darling?" And the spoiled brat says, "How many are there?" He goes, 36. I counted them myself. He's appalled. He can't believe that he only got 36 presents. 36, but last year I had 37, he says. Well, they are quite a bit bigger than last year's. The dad starts to make excuses and tries to, tell the boy it's okay, it's fine. And he doesn't put his son into check. He doesn't act as an actual father. The kid says, I don't care how big they are, gets this attitude, and this kid is yelling at the top of his lungs. The mother steps in because the dad won't do anything. This is your typical family these days, especially in, civilized societies. The UK, the United States, Australia, Canada, wherever, all right? The mother says, oh, now, here's what we're going to do, okay? When we go out, we're going to buy you 2 new presents. They just appease this spoiled brat. And Harry Potter gives him this look. This is the same look that I give people when I'm out shopping at the grocery store. And there's always one. There's always one bratty toddler or a kid just screaming. I'm not even talking about a baby that's obviously hungry and nobody's going to feed it, but I'm talking about just an entitled, selfish little brat. And they're everywhere. They're out there all over the place because the parents are no parents whatsoever. They don't know how to be. They were never raised to do the right thing. They had no mentors to teach them and to raise them, because we're taught you shouldn't tell people what to do. You should just allow them freedom. Just allow them to be themselves. Well, when they're allowed to be themselves, the world will teach them how to be, and the world is corrupt and evil and based. The world is perverted. How do you think the children will grow to be when they look at the world? When they look up to the world instead of 2 good, wholesome parents that follow the old ways? So Harry Potter gives them a look. They're going to go out now. They're going to go to the zoo, which is really where they belong. The uncle says, I'm warning you now, boy. Any funny business, any at all, and you won't have any meals for a week. So he's threatening. And there's real parents out there that treat their children this way. And some people think this is a gray area. You know what I mean? This is just unacceptable to me personally as a father, that anyone would do something to their own children. It's like torture. It's like legal forms of torture. Slapping, spanking, not feeding them, not giving them the essentials that they need. They come into this world completely helpless. They can't even stand up. They can't even lift their little bobbleheads. They need you. Now, notice the whole time he's holding out a key to Harry Potter, because Harry Potter is the key symbolically because of what he represents, but he is also the seeker, and he's looking for the key. And the key is often right in front of the seeker until they realize it. They don't see it. They don't see the key that is right in front of them. And you need imagination to be able to see that key. You need to balance imagination with reasoning and intellect. So they go to the zoo. Now, Harry's checking out this snake. Here comes the viper-snake connection, the serpent connection. Now, Harry's just checking it out. The rest of the family, the kid Dudley is pissed off because the snake won't dance for him. The snake won't move. And so he says, move, make it move. And the dad starts to knock on the glass, banging on the glass. How many people have actually seen this? This is not fictitious. This isn't made up. This is real. There's real people. You can go to any pet store. You can go to the zoo today. People are going to go bang on the glass and tell the animals to perform like little slaves. Move! They yell at the snake. Move! He leans in even further. But wait a minute. Look at the expression that the dad is making as they're giving the little devil's paw symbol. Look at the dad's. Can we zoom in on the dad's eyeballs for just a quick second here? Can we just take a good look at this guy's face? Now, something's off. And I have made some videos about this because it's not just a random actor. They choose these people for specific reasons, for their names, for their stage names, for something about them. This guy has a lazy eye. There are many people throughout antiquity that have famous portraits painted of them that have lazy eyes, and you don't see it. You've never seen it because you don't bother to look close. You don't bother to take a closer look at these famous portraits of people. One eye looking right at you, and another, doing, looking way off somewhere else. They're all over the place, especially in famous paintings. I did a whole video about this called The Devil's Hand. If you're interested in the subject, I highly recommend you check that out. I also talk about mutations. I talk about hand signs and stuff like that and the origins of them. And of course, I talk about the lazy eye. A lazy eye. The Father has a lazy eye. A person that has a lazy eye, symbolically, can't see clearly. They can't see things clearly. So this family in this world full of non-magical people cannot see things clearly. It's not plain to them. They can't see. They have a vision problem. Whereas Harry has something to help him see better, which are his glasses, right? There's a big difference between the two. They say, oh, he's asleep. So Harry's explaining it to him. He's asleep. He's boring, Dudley says. So it's boring because it won't do exactly what he wants it to do. This is the type of entitled America that I live in. This is the type of modern world that is spreading, and the belief systems that are spreading across this world. And believe me, if you don't think witchcraft exists, you're completely mistaken. Your schools are witchcraft. Your legal systems are witchcraft. You are raised as a witch from birth without being told the substance behind it. Without anyone admitting it to you, you have been lied to and saying there's no such things as witches. Meanwhile, they are raising you to be one. Now, which kind are they raising you to be? A good witch or a bad witch? As we talked about when we decoded The Wizard of Oz. Now, Harry starts to talk to the snake. He feels bad for it. He sees himself in the snake. He sees the snake as his brother. He sees the snake not as just some animal and that's it, like a toy, like a slave, something beneath him, but as an equal. He says sorry about him, and the snake gives him a wink. He says, can you hear me? It's just, I've never talked to a snake before. You see, Harry, without knowing it, speaks the language of the serpents, which is symbolized by the snake. Snakes are not evil. They're not inherently evil. A snake is just an animal. The reason that people have this deeply rooted fear of it is because the shape of the snake, just like the shape of a worm or something, grosses people out. It freaks them out because it goes all the way back to a buried collective memory of plasma filaments that snaked their way down from the heavens. Dragons, fire worms, fire serpents, or fiery serpents, as they were known as. Now, Dudley sees that the snake is moving all of a sudden. He gets excited. He knocks Harry Potter out of the way, has no regard for him, no love, nothing. He's completely entitled. And they're entitled because you're raised under the Illuminati system. You're raised under the Freemasonic system. You're raised to look up to people who have titles. As a matter of fact, give somebody a name tag and watch their character change. Give somebody a particular hat or a uniform and watch their character change. It defines these people. They love it. They're growing up in a Freemasonic system. They're being taught witchcraft or spellcraft. They are, in their own minds, entitled, nobles, better and above the law and better than everyone else. They should be served. Nothing else matters to them. This is a left-hand path mentality. The left-hand path is an insectoid mentality. It is a robotic mentality. It is a mentality of people like this. So he leans up against the glass. Harry gets really into his emotions and the glass disappears and he falls all of a sudden into the exhibit with the snake. Now, symbolically, our world has a glass barrier that separates us from the other worlds and us from the heavens, and that is the dome that we talked about. One of these days, that dome will disappear. When that dome disappears, or when it breaks open and the sky explodes, the animal kingdom will rule once again, and all of the muggles of this world, all of the entitled people, will instantly lose their power, and the animal kingdom will be in charge, and they will be thrust into the animal kingdom once again, and the animals will be at the top of the food chain, and the human beings will live in the mud and the clay and the muck and caves once again. So the snake escapes. It is now free, thanks to Harry Potter. Now remember, Harry Potter represents the blue beam at the center of the world. When we see that blue beam emerge is whenever our glass will disappear. Whenever we will have our reset, the sky itself will break open and the animals will be released once more. And telepathy will be reintroduced into our world. It's not that Harry Potter speaks snake. It's that he is telepathic and he's able to speak to the animals, but specifically it's being shown to you by him talking to and hearing the snake's voice. Okay? It's not that the snake actually says thanks or whatever. It's that he can understand what it's feeling. He's that empathetic. And that's what's going to happen whenever the world fills once again with energy from inside of the earth as the earth gives birth to all of these lights. And we enter into the age of light and the atmosphere is electrically amplified, as will be your auras, as will be your spirit. So much so you will be able to feel the spirits of other creatures and realize they're not just animals, but they are your snake brothers, your bird sisters, your bear friends, your chicken friends. And you will no longer want to eat because you couldn't possibly eat your friend or family. Well, you won't want to eat the animals, I should say. Now, he says, anytime. Yeah, thank you. You're welcome. The snake goes about. It's no longer in captivity. So the people start freaking out. Oh my God, a snake. Imagine that, a snake crawling around in the world. A snake just crawling around on the earth, as if that is just so scary and freaky. And this is the entitled, weird world that we live in, the evil world that we live in. That should be totally natural to see animals wandering about. But we have put them all into cages. We've allowed them all to live in their particular areas or whatever. So then the kid gets back up and Dudley finds that he now is trapped behind the glass. He is now the exhibit, the modern man thrown into the Stone Age, thrown into the past where everything is overgrown and lush and the world is a jungle once again. This will be some of you. This will be many of you out there. Not you individually, but just you collectively, okay? Most people on Earth who do survive are going to be like this kid. Modern, no survival abilities, entitled, freaking out, paranoid. Anyone he does meet, he will probably start issuing orders and start telling them what to do instead of doing it himself, I would imagine. But he is now your modern Stone Age family. He is now a Flintstone, which is exactly what happened to the Flintstones. They were modern. And then the apocalypse happened. But because they happened to live on bedrock, they didn't sink down into the earth when liquefaction occurred due to worldwide earthquakes, and the Flintstones happened to survive. The Flintstones also happened to have their own little secret society. So they knew where to build their city. They knew how to survive. Back to Harry Potter. He just loves it. He thinks this is the funniest thing ever. He finally gets to laugh. He finally gets to be himself whenever the apocalypse comes in the modern world and all the people who have picked on him and succeeded in life and, you know, have beaten him down in every way possible get what's coming to them. He gets to laugh. He gets the last laugh, and so will you if you are like him. Now, the uncle is pissed. He remembers this, that Harry Potter got the upper hand on his son. So, Harry's in trouble. When he gets back home, do you think the uncle is going to have a good talking to? Do you think the uncle is going to explain to him, you know, as a father should, and teach him? No. Instead, he grabs him by his hair. A huge tuft of Harry's hair, yanks him around. Harry says, I don't understand what happened. 1 minute the glass was there, the next minute it was gone. It was like magic. Unfortunately, this is all too common in the world today. This is one of those gray areas. People feel like it's my child. I can grab his hair. I can pull him around. I can toss him or her. I can throw them. I can spank them. I can beat them. I can yell at them. God, I feel sorry for your children. But your time is coming. So all of these types of parents, if you've ever had these types of parents or caretakers or whatever it may be, smile on the inside and know, if what I'm saying is true, their time is coming. They will get theirs, because the world will present to them a great reconciliation. There will be a reckoning from Mother Nature or from God. So he opens up the closet door, shoves him into the closet, locks the closet door. I one time broke up with a girl on a personal note. We were dating and stuff. I went over to her place, and she told me that I watched her yell at her son in ways that I blew my mind. And I'm like, do you normally talk to him like that? And she goes, oh, I do worse than that. I'm like, really? Like what? She told me she locks him in the closet. I could not believe it. I was like, we can't see each other anymore. I'm sorry. So I left, I bounced. She followed me out like a psycho, yelling at me, screaming at me, making a big scene about it and stuff. And to this day, probably thinks that she's, righteous and I'm some weirdo. Anyways, he yells through the vent, there's no such thing as magic. You see, that's what this is our world. This is your world. Full of people like this that will yell and scream to you, there's no such thing as magic. Don't pursue the esoteric. Don't pursue the hidden things of the world, the strange things, the mysteries of the world. Mysteries are evil. Stay away. Which is weird because I hear that from Christians mostly, but the Bible itself says that it is the glory of God to hide something and the glory of kings, like Harry Potter, to search it out, to find it. It's a great, wonderful, beautiful game of hide and seek. So, locks him in the closet, slams the door, keeps him in the dark. The next day, Harry Potter gets a letter, and they say he lives in the cupboard under the stairs. His cousin sees that Harry has a letter, and he's super jealous. So he goes, Dad, Harry got a letter, look. And he gives the dad Harry's letter, just takes it away from him. And Harry says, give it back, it's mine. He goes, yours? Who'd be writing to you? Do you see how they just belittle him, patronize him? Listen, this isn't just your family members. This isn't just people you might look up to or be related to or friends or whatever. This is the world when it comes to addressing and considering and regarding truth seekers. You're seen as ridiculous. You're seen as not worthy of a breath of fresh air. And they will tell you as much. Go and look at some of the comments and things that are being said on some of these channels that are dedicated to debunking anyone that has an alternative idea or a different worldview. This is exactly how they treat people. The letter was from Hogwarts. We'll talk about Hogwarts here in a bit. Now, the uncle's highly concerned. Everyone is very concerned because now messages are trying to be passed from something higher up to the truth seeker. They don't want that. They don't want you, the truth seeker, the future wizard or witch, to get any of these messages from above. You're being handed messages from above. They're literally falling into your lap sometimes, and you've been ignoring them, and you've been taught not to see them, and a spell of blindness has been cast over you. But sometimes you rub your eyes and you can start to see things a little more, and you start to wonder about things, and you start to scratch your head and go, what's that about? That's strange. That's weird. That's odd. These are clues, little gifts that are coming your way. Now they arrive from the owls. The owl is symbolic here, as it is in many movies. We touched on the owl, I believe, when we broke down and decoded the movie Labyrinth. By the way, I have a whole playlist of like over 100 movies. So I hear people leaving me comments, you should break down this movie, you should decode this movie, and I've already done it. So before you make a suggestion, I highly recommend just do a quick search on my channel. Just type in the name of the movie, and if I've done it, it should pop right up. Anyways, look at the shape of the owl's face. This is why they use the image of the owl. It has nothing to do with the actual owl itself or this particular bird, but this bird is used symbolically throughout the ancient mysteries, all the way into the modern times within Freemasonry. It is the shape. And you can see the shape of the face. It is important to note the shape of the face. Let me zoom in a little bit more. This shape is the shape of the great owl, the world owl, the bird of creation. Sometimes it's seen as an owl. So other times it's seen as a great phoenix that spreads its wings. Other times it might be a bluebird or some other type of bird. But it is this toroidal shape that goes around the owl's eyes. And I'll show it to you right here. So here we have paperwork. Paperwork that comes from laboratories that worked in plasma experiments. They created a beam of plasma and noticed that it made this shape that you see over here. The beam shoots up, it creates a little dome on the bottom of energy, a dome on the top of energy, and this little donut shape in the middle. And if that beam is long enough, it'll create many donut shapes, okay? But initially, it starts off with just the one. It says here, Z-pinch, high energy plasma discharge. All that means is that a beam of energy shoots up and it folds in on itself in the middle. And it creates that Hurley symbol that you see. Some of you guys know what that is. Like the DC symbol or the Hurley symbol, same thing. And that's where those brands come from. That's where all of your brands come from. So if you ever wondered why brands choose their particular images or names or whatever, this is why. It all goes back to antiquity. It says here, plasma discharge seen in the ancient skies as an owl, owl eyes, or the squatter man, recorded by man as petroglyphs and myths. So here's some examples of this owl face as petroglyphs that were seen in the ancient sky. And over here to the left, you can see in the plasma physics laboratory, this one was done in Los Alamos in New Mexico, which is pretty close to being classified. It's very dangerous work. Not a lot of people are involved. And there happen to be a lot of physicists and stuff that are connected to this particular place that have started to go missing as well, if you're in on that news. But this is what it looks like over here on the left when they run computer simulations and actual tests. Eye and nose masks are seen here. Isophotes from a portion of a graphical solution of equations are up here. The eye mask and the prominent nose petroglyphs that you see. Sometimes it's also seen as like a ram's head. Okay, so you could this right here, right behind me. Pay attention because this can be many things. Like I said, imagination is the key that you have been looking for, that you need. It is the other half of what you have been missing. It is your creative ability. This right here, you could see an owl's eyes. It also kind of looks hypnotic, and nose, which it is symbolically, or the head of a ram, or the place of a ram, wherever this may be. The location would be the place of the ram, or ancient Ram, or Rome, you could say. Now, here's the comparison. This is what it looks like in the laboratory. This is what the computer simulations look like. Right here, you have the beam of energy that shoots straight up, creating a toroidal field, a donut. You're looking at it from a sideways view. Okay, but if you were to turn this, it would look like a donut, and you would see a donut. It's a toroidal field. Now, this is why the Illuminati worship the owl. This is why the ancient Greeks used owl symbolism whenever depicting the wise gods or goddesses like Athena. They would always have a little owl sidekick or something. And this is why these wizards and witches are allowed to have certain animals that represent certain events that happened in antiquity. Not the actual animal, but things that were seen in the heavens and in the skies that might look like a frog in the sky or an owl's face or whatever it may be. By the way, this is a card. This is one of my cards in my Truth Seekers trading card game. So if you're interested in learning more about that, please go ahead and show me some love over in my posts, where you can find a link to, where you can contribute for me to finish up all my cards. This particular card is called a Conspira card. There's going to be lots of those. Okay, so this one's the Illuminati Conspira card. And I'm pretty proud of that one. I like that one. Anyways, it's Bohemian Grove, a little touched up by myself. I added some floodlights and, some other things there. But anyways, get back to the movie. Now, the dad or the uncle starts ripping up all of the clues, all of the messages that have been sent to Harry Potter. Notice the body shape here. right? There are going to be tribes of people that look like this and have this exact body shape. Imagine he just turns around and looks right at the camera right now. That's a blemmy. So in case you didn't know, blemmies humans can't have eyeballs on their chest and a mouth on their navel or whatever, but they can have hunchbacks. Their head can sink so low and get scoliosis and all kinds of spinal cord problems and stuff, or have mutations that their head sinks down into their chest basically, and it stops right about here. And that is what they look like. They look like big old shoulders way high up and their heads way down because they are hunchbacks, the blemmies. So some people are going to have mutations. Okay, whenever we have our world change, there will be a high amount of radioactive energy in particular locations. If you happen to live in those particular locations and you don't know how to read the signs and you don't know what to look for, you'll probably just stay there because that's just where you've always stayed. You're not an adventurer. You're not an explorer. You'll make up excuses. You'll never go anywhere. And you will suffer from the radiation that will be in that area, and you will mutate. And your children will mutate. And you'll all grow your own little mutant tribe of legendary, monstrous tribes of human beings. Now, that's one reason why it's so important to research and study. I mean, for me personally. Anyways, so the owls are all starting to land all over the place. The owls being the messengers, right? Which one of the messenger gods in antiquity was Hermes. Har, remember, means mountain, like Hari, my mountain, Harry Potter. Hermes, Mes or Mesh means out of the water. So Hermes is the mountain out of the water. Hermes was the messenger god. He went up and down, just like those angels that were on Jacob's ladder going up and down, right? Just like there is a squirrel that goes up and down Yggdrasil, the Norse tree of life. It goes all the way up and down. That's electricity going back and forth. It's a current. So we have these messengers, the owls, dropping clue after clue after clue. Doctor Who dropping a clue. Thank you so much, Doctor Who. Now, the parents see all the letters. And they hate it. When the world starts to see that you're picking up the pieces that have been laid down by Mother Nature, by God or whoever, they'll start to burn them. All these clues that have been left to us from our ancient past will be burned by the powers that be. They'll just be not just covered up, but quite actually burned by fire in many instances, right? All these clues from our past that give us clues as to what our future is. Harry Potter catches his uncle burning all of the clues with his wild eyes. All the clues are being burned away, just as all of the clues today are being burned away. Now it's Sunday. The dad's kind of losing his mind because he's sick of seeing all of these weird conspiracy clues about witches and wizard schools and all this evil stuff that is just nonsense to him. So he goes, Sunday, it's a fine day, Sunday. You know why, Dudley? You know why it's a fine day? And Harry knows, so he answers. Dudley doesn't know. Harry says because there's no post on Sundays. Now, over in the UK, you guys call the mail the post. Over here, we typically call it mail, right? But it is more accurately post. And he says there is no post on Sundays, which is interesting to me. No post on Sundays. The dad hates the post. The post is another word for the pillar, the beam, the column, the branch, the root, the spine. There's so many different ways that beam of light at the center of the world, the axis mundi, is portrayed. And so many words that personify it or describe it, and post is one of them. And it's where we get our post from. It was the meeting place where people met together and picked up messages from one another. It was the meeting place between the heavens and the earth and the underworld. No post on Sundays. Ha ha ha. He's loving it. Meanwhile, his house is just covered in birds. These are your omens for some of you. Some of your houses basically have owls all over them symbolically. You're being shown clue after clue after clue into solving the script of the world, as one of my friends would say. All right, now all the messages just start shooting through. They can no longer deny these omens that something is special about Harry, who he is as a human and what he represents symbolically. All of the omens break into the house, and I'm calling the letters to Harry Potter omens because that's basically what they are, little clues. Something that is supposed to let you know that something big is about to happen. They flood the house. Now look at the reaction between the muggles, the non-magic people, and the one magical person in the room. The people start freaking out. They don't know what to think. They don't study this. They don't know where these letters are coming from. They're freaking out. They're scared. Oh my God, it's something weird, but look at him. Look at the wizard. Look at the one with his energy full to the brim. He's so excited. He knows what's happening. Intuitively, he knows what's happening. Something wonderful, something different. It must be good. These people don't want anything different to happen. They're entitled. They're pseudo-nobles or pseudo-nobility or false nobility. And they live in their cushy house and they go to their cushy jobs and they love it when everything stays the same. Everything is starting to change and change quick. And Harry gets excited. The wizard in him gets excited. And I get excited when things start to change drastically. So he reaches up and he starts just grabbing for any of these letters. He can't wait to see what it says. He can't wait to learn. He can't wait to figure it out, as the truth seeker in all of you should do. Now, the uncle is just like, all right, well, we're just going to move to an island in the middle of the ocean, which is also symbolic of Harry Potter and what he is, because he is an island in the middle of a large body of water. In reality. So they think they're going to get away from all the owls out here. They're lucky they didn't get bombarded by seagulls, but they're sleeping in this weird lighthouse type of a place. Harry, poor Harry Potter, it's his birthday in like less than a minute. So he draws himself a birthday cake in the dust. And he wishes himself happy birthday. God, as a father, my heart just goes out to Harry Potter at this particular moment. Like, well, man, how sad. Some people would just jump off the deep end, talk about how evil birthdays are, and I've heard it. I've heard all of it. I've studied it. I've been there. I used to believe many of the same things. Christmas is evil. Easter is evil. Birthdays are evil. It's the number one thing within witchcraft, and you're a witch, and witches are evil, and wizards are evil. I understand. I get it. I used to be in that same boat. I studied all that stuff too. But I grew from there. And I can see that there's balance to all things. There's some truth to what some of those people have said. But they're also missing the other side of that coin. They're missing the reality. So for example, he just drew the world. And he's drawing all these little lights that are coming up off of the world on the day that he is born. This is his birthday. He represents the light of the world. When the light of the world is born, there will be many candles on the top of the cake, which is symbolically our world, is the cake. But specifically the center of the world, right? Now he looks over at his cousin's pudgy little arm, sees on his clock that it's 11:59, and then, happy birthday, Harry Potter. The clock strikes midnight. Midnight is the countdown. Midnight is the doomsday clock. When it strikes midnight in the movies, it is always trying to share with you that that is doomsday. When the clock resets, it is the great reset. I just thought of something fun, but anyways, I have doomsday clocks in my card game, so that'll be a lot of fun for you guys. Anyways, midnight is when Harry Potter was born, or at least he celebrated at midnight. Harry Potter, the light of the world, midnight. We should have an apocalyptic event happening immediately, and we do. Light surrounds the door. That's the door of this world. Light surrounds the door. Now, there are two doors to this world, to the surface world. There is Mount Meru itself, which is a door that goes down into the underworld, and then we have the apex dome that I mentioned earlier. The sky will blow open, and the atmosphere will depressurize and people can go up and escape that way. 2 doors to our world. One heavenly, one terrestrial. Light is surrounding this one, and it breaks open as the family freaks out, and lo and behold, a giant thrusts itself into their little world. Same type of symbolism as whenever the pudgy little kid was thrust into the world of the snake. Now that world is being thrust upon their lives, symbolically. There will come a time whenever, if you survive the apocalypse, you will come face to face with giants, real actual giants once again. Now in the books, Hagrid is like 12 feet tall, which is probably closer to what, your average giant would have been, or your average person, I should say. Okay, everybody used to be giants back in the day. That's why they didn't talk about giants, because they were all giant compared to us today. Many people then, didn't talk about how like they were all going to shrink in size over time, although that was known amongst the wiser of them. Hey, KT, thank you. Thank you, KT. But that is what happens. We talk about giants now thinking it's ridiculous because we are all used to being so small in stature, but that's just one of the omens of an apocalyptic world, of a great change coming. He says, it's not every day your young man turns 11. So Harry Potter has turned 11 years old. 2 beams specifically chosen for this particular birthday. He could have been 12, could have been his bar mitzvah, he could be 13, he could be turning any age. 10, they chose 11 specifically because 11 represents the elven race, the immortals. It represents the 2 pillars at the center of the world, the anode on one side of Hyperborea and the cathode on the other side of the Garden of Eden. Same place. There are 2 large islands on either side of that central island at the middle of the world. They form the Pillars of Hercules, where there is more beyond. So he turns 11 years old. That is whenever the portal opens, when you see the 11, when you see those 2 pillars, those outdoor markers. He says, my name is Rubeus Hagrid, which we've already discussed, keeper of keys and grounds at Hogwarts. Well, it's appropriate that he should be in charge of Harry Potter because Harry Potter himself is a key. He is the key to this world. And Hagrid is his watcher. He watches over him. Hagrid is his guardian. Of course, you'll know all about Hogwarts. Nope. Harry Potter's like, I don't know anything. What are you talking about? I don't know what that is. He goes, you're a wizard, Harry. You're a wizard. Well, what is wizard anyways? Right? What does that mean? Let's figure it out instead of spookifying it and just being terribly afraid of words like goblins and wizards and witches and anything that sounds fantastic and just labeling it all as evil and saying that's the devil. Let's look into it. Let's research it. Let's find out. The Proto-Indo-European root of the word witch, or I'm going to start with witch, okay, because wizard is basically the same as witch, it's just different pronunciation, is veg or weg, to be strong, to be lively, to be full of life, basically, to be strong with life. You have a strong spirit. You have a strong energy about you. You know those people out there. You know who I'm talking about. Many of us tend to actually be, in this day and age, truth seekers that are on our own social media because we have strong spirits about us. Okay, this is where we end up in this particular time that we go through these weird cycles, okay? Some of us wizards and witches and whatever. And I'm just going to use those words because it fits the theme of the movie. But in antiquity, it wasn't just wizards and witches. It was martyrs. It was Christians. It was actual people that lived underground and were being persecuted because they had power and abilities and superpowers. They've gone by many names over time. Now, the old German word is wachen, or to be awake. Related to the Gothic word wachen, or wachen, just like Christopher Walken, to watch. It means watcher. Somebody that's watching, somebody that's paying attention. To be awake. Somebody who is awakened, or you could say woke. I don't know, that word's kind of twisted these days, but that is literally what it means. That's what witch means. Wizard just means wise one, so it's very similar. One who has wise eyes, or vision. Wizard, vision. They're both related, okay? And it has to do with paying attention. It has to do with having a lot of life, a lot of energy inside, a strong soul. Even up until the point of being an elderly person, it doesn't matter. You can tell someone who's 100 years old, they still have a lot of life left in them. And they always have. There's people like that in this world. In the time to come, there will be even more of us. Right now, we're very few and far between. So he looks up at his uncle and his aunt. He goes, "You knew about all this magic and wizardry, and you knew all along? You never told me?" She goes, "Of course we knew. Of course we knew. These are your people in charge of your world today. They know. They know all about monsters. They know all about magic. They know all about wizardry and witches and spellcraft and all of these things. They know all about the Phantom Islands. They know all about the Garden of Eden and Hyperborea and Avalon. They know the truth behind all of the fiction. They knew all along, and they have not told you." Well, on one hand, it's not their responsibility to tell you. But if you're looking for it, and they keep you from it, and they try to distract you or force you away from finding the truth, that's an altogether different story. You see, it is your responsibility as a witch, as a wizard, as an enlightened one, as someone who is awakened, as a truth seeker, to seek it out, which means you need to put one foot in front of another. Nobody can walk around for you. It is not another person's job to wake you up. It is your job to wake up when the time is right. And Harry's time is now. He's waking up and he's learning the truth of his world. Hagrid says, "Oh, you're going to stop him? You're such a great muggle." And he goes, "Muggle? What's a muggle?" So the author of the book, J.K. Rowling, coined the term muggle for Harry Potter. She adapted it from the British slang word mug, which means a gullible or easily fooled person, which is why when somebody gets mugged or they get robbed, that's why they use that word, mug, right? You're mugged. You became a mug, which is an easily fooled person. So you were taken advantage of and you were robbed, so you were mugged. A muggle, somebody that's gullible, somebody that believes anything they hear, anything they say. They just believe it. Non-magic folk. People who are programs, the programmed people, the sleepwalkers, the walking dead of this world. Now, meanwhile, Dudley's over there just eating Harry Potter's birthday cake, just stuffing his fat little pig face. And so Hagrid catches him, destroying Harry Potter's birthday cake. And he takes out his umbrella, which I have talked many times about the symbolism of the umbrella, the occult symbol of the umbrella itself, and what it means and what it was originally used for. So feel free to, I would like somebody in the chat to remind everyone of what the umbrella symbolizes. If you don't mind, I would appreciate that. Points his umbrella at the kid's butt and he grows in a pig's tail. Turns him into an actual pig person. Now, I've done videos also about ancient pig people and how pig people will return to this world. It's along the lines of the mutations that I was referring to earlier, but human beings, some of you, will look like pigs, unfortunately, in the time to come. And there are many stories about humans turning into animals or appearing to turn into some kind of animal or creature, or even going through a form of reverse evolution, becoming animals. Pig people. You want to check it out? Go over to my channel, just type in ancient pig people and it'll pop right up. Now, Hagrid takes Harry away from that world of the Muggles and he takes him to this in-between place, so that he can get all of his magic school items for Hogwarts. He comes up to this brick wall. Now, this is very interesting that they chose a brick wall to act as the separator between the the Muggle world, and the wizard world. So he taps on the wall, and the bricks all start to move around and shapeshift, and the wall opens up. And on the other side is Diagon Alley. Well, interesting. This place is called Diagon Alley. What does Diagon mean? It sounds familiar. Oh, that's right. It's the root of the word diagonal. So if you look it up, diagon, or diagonal, traces back to the ancient Greek word diagnos, which means from corner to corner. From corner to corner, the corner place, where you will find the cornerstone right at all four corners of the world. Now, the place where they actually are right now is not at the center, because that would be Hogwarts. That would be the middle. That would be the most important place. They're over here. They're in the labyrinth, okay, which is represented by all those bricks, because the lines between all those oddly stacked bricks create sort of like a maze pattern. And this is where they are. So they are in between this world over here, which is the world of the Muggles on the outside, and the inner world, which is the wizarding world, the place where the ancient tribe of Dan, or the Danans, witches, wizards, etc. I don't know what else you want to call them, okay? Eternals, the elven race, etc. They live here, okay? The closer you live to this land, the longer you will live. Oftentimes, the more intelligent you will be just through simple experience for hundreds of years of living. So people that live out here, like in ancient Greece, or Grokland, which literally means the land where people grow old or live for a very long time, they would live a bit longer. And then I could zoom out and keep zooming out all the way where people would live less and less and less the further south you go, the further away from the heart of the earth you go. Diagon Alley. So this is where all of the witches and wizards and esoteric individuals and truth seekers alike, good, bad, and ugly, by the way, just because they're witches and wizards and, you know, I'm trying to share both sides of that does not mean they're good either. There's balance always. There's always balance to everything. Even in the Muggle world, there is balance, okay? However, there is a great balance to the cycles that we go between, okay? One cycle would be very positively charged, a golden age, a very good cycle with a remnant of evil. And one cycle would be a very evil cycle, really evil, bad, base, decrepit, falling apart with the remnant of healthy and good. Okay, so it's the balance is in between, and the ultimate balance is the great divider, which is the apocalypse itself. Now, all these little young kids are looking at this broomstick. They go, wow, it's the Nimbus 2000. What does Nimbus mean? The word Nimbus comes directly from the Latin word nimbus, which translates to cloud, rainstorm, or thundercloud. It first entered the English language in the 1600s, describing both a meteorological rain cloud and the luminous cloudy aura that surrounds classical deities in art, otherwise known as the halo. The nimbus, the halo. Well, could it be possible that in antiquity the two were the same? And that's why we have the association. In Latin, the word nebula is directly related to the word nimbus. It actually is the word nimbus, and it means mist, vapor, or fog, not faraway stars in some other galaxy and rock planets and all that weird stuff. Same thing in Sanskrit, ancient Greek, Nephos, Slavic, Nebo, German, Nebel. All of it implies the sky. All of it implies the heavens. Now, this picture right here is one of my favorites. I happened to stumble upon this one. This was an image that someone drew of a strange phenomenon that they saw way up in the Arctic when they looked up into the sky. This is what they drew. Now, everywhere on the internet, it says that this is supposed to be the auroras. I am going to be the first one to tell you it is not. This is the apex dome that makes an appearance from time to time if the conditions are right. Notice in these auroras, you can see the stars themselves. Notice it makes a halo all the way around it, the nimbus. People look up and they saw this heavenly eye in the sky, this bulge hanging down, this hump that would soon dump upon the earth. that glue this fiery red as a doom shape or dome shape in the heavens. And when it depressurizes, the pressure differential and temperature differential created all of these clouds all the way around it, and light emanated from it. And they drew pictures of it in ancient alchemical drawings. This one right here is one of my favorites because it shows you the 7 mountains. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Also known as the septentrion or the septentrio, or different ways of saying 7 mountains or 7 trees, as these would grow, these ethereal trees of light that shot up into the heavens. They only look like they're pointing together to create like a focal point, but they're not. It's just how the optics works. They're just going really high up in the sky, and they meet at the eye in the sky. This is the inverted dome up there, and the depressurization point with the clouds all the way around it. Just as we showed you in the beginning where Hagrid came from. This is from the Book of Miracles in the Middle Ages. And you can see another example of the depressurization clouds up there in the heavens. Now people saw these weird phenomenon up there going back and forth. Looked like they were fighting or a war in the sky, a war in the heavens, but it's just electromagnetic energy moving about and darting about. Okay? And it's always between the 2 mountains, the anode and the cathode. One's white, one's dark, as it should be. One is giving energy to the other. One will get larger, while the other one will get smaller and disappear. And that's why you typically only see one of these in modern maps, or I should say maps that are more modern from around the turn of the century. I'd say, well, the turn of 2 centuries ago. So maybe around the early 1700s at the latest, you can find these islands. Here's another image from the Book of Miracles. This one was 1535. You can see right there, people looked up into the heavens and they saw what almost could be described in the Harry Potter world as these balls that you have to fly up and go catch or whatever, the Quidditch balls, right? And here's the depressurization clouds. Here's the dome shape glowing its ruddy red. Here it is on a coin, showing you once again the people up there praying to it, looking up at the heavens at this bowl hanging down from the very firmament itself, surrounded by clouds and light rays coming out of it. Here it is again, this time personified with Jesus inside of it, the eye of providence, the dependable eye, the eye of God with its ruffly clouds all the way around. Now, Harry is in Diagon Alley and he goes to Gringotts because he needs money to be able to buy his broomstick and buy his wand and all this other stuff. Gringotts, though. What is that? That's got to mean something. See, I don't believe that people just make up words. Even if they think that they're making up words, they're reaching through their creative abilities and tapping into the ether itself to pull something of substance out. So I look at Gringotts and I'll break this down for you the way I see it, okay? First and foremost, I see the word gringo. And I'm like, wow, gringo, interesting. Well, let me look that up. I also see Otts, or OTT, which is the root of the word Otis, or not Otis. Yeah, it actually probably is Otis too, but Otho and Otto, OTTO, and words like that. So let's look up both of those. Now, gringo in Spanish is what they would call somebody that does not speak Spanish or speaks gibberish or strange languages. And it comes from Greco, which is Grego or Greek. It's literally how Spanish people refer to Greek people. They say that's Greek to me, meaning I don't know what they're saying. They're speaking Greek. Interesting, because wouldn't you think that Greek would have been like a very prominent language, at least at some point in history, almost like English, you know? Especially, you know, only going back 2,000 years, they spoke what was known as Koine, or Koine, you could say, which is a form of popular Greek languages. So why this term? You see, I don't think that modern day Greece is the real Greece, just like I don't think modern day Israel is the real original Israel. I believe that those places are much closer to the North Pole. So when we learn about the stories of Achilles and Jason and Odysseus and all of these people and the Trojan War and the battles of ancient Greece and stuff, I don't think that that happened in the modern places. I think that those happened up at the North Pole and in those surrounding countries and island countries. But I'll probably share more of that whenever I go check out the Odyssey, the new movie, The Odyssey, because I'll probably be breaking that one down once it's, I'll save up some money so I can rent it or buy it on streaming platforms, and then I'll decode it for you guys. So, Otto, what do we do? Gringotts, right? Greek. So, Gring is Greg, which is Greek. And then what's the Otts? Otto. If you look up Otto, it means wealth and fortune. So wealthy Greeks. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm getting from that. Let's see what these wealthy Greeks look like. Well, they're kind of Caucasian looking. They have really long noses and they have huge pointy ears. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to say it, but you know, right? The people who control the banking system of our world kind of look like that, you might say. So Harry wants to know who they are for the sake of the movie. Okay, for the sake of the decode, I'll tell you. What Harry Potter knows, at least. Doctor Who, thank you so much. So, what exactly are these things, Harry Potter, the character in the movie asks. Hagrid says they're goblins, Harry. Goblins? Goblin. Interesting. Where does that mean? What's a goblin? What does a goblin mean? What does it actually mean? Don't just be okay with, oh, that's a goblin. Oh, okay. What's a goblin? What is it? Not what is one, but what does the word mean? Because the meaning tells you what it is. We need to know what a goblin is. What is this guy with the long nose and the long ears and Caucasian skin and all of that? Well, if we look up the word goblin, as we should, this is called etymology, by the way, the study of word origins. Look up the word goblin, and you will find, along with devil and mischievous creatures, fairies, etc., you will find it is from the Greek word kabalos, which has the word cabal, os, which means strong cabal, impudent rogue or a knave. Interesting. Well, let's look up what word it's also related to, which is cabal, because that's the root word to kabalos. If we look up cabal, it says here from the 1520s, mystical interpretation of the Old Testament. Later, an intriguing society, a small, like the small goblins in the movie, a small group meeting privately. Interesting. And it says from medieval Latin, Kabbalah. So let's look up Kabbalah, shall we? Let's just keep going. Kabbalah, Jewish mystic philosophy. This all comes from goblin. Now, what else does it say? From kibel, which means to receive, to admit, or to accept. As in the cabals that have free and accepted members, I'll say. Let's move on. Some of you that might hit home, some of you might be like, what is he talking about? All right, next up, one of these little goblins walks up to the safe door and he opens it for Harry Potter. Now, what's Harry Potter how much money do you think he has? He has basically the equivalent of millions of dollars in gold coins in a safety deposit box that has been kept by the goblins his whole life, who never told him about it. There's a reason I'm excited right now, because this is real. For those of you who have looked into the laws of the land and maritime laws and the straw man and all of these things, there are goblins out there that have given you this much money, basically, from the time you are born and don't tell you about it. They take claim of it because you're just a little baby and you don't know how to handle it. So they're doing the responsible thing and holding on to it for you, but then you don't go claim it. So they keep it all. Look it up. I'm telling you, it's true. Look directly above Harry Potter's head, by the way. Can we just zoom in on the number of the vault right behind Harry Potter's head. I don't know if there's supposed to be another number on top of that, but it doesn't matter. 88. Those are the pillars of Hercules. 8, 8. Or you could say 1 and 1 because they look like beams of light. But it's the Phoenician word chet, or the letter chet, which is the 8th letter, and the other chet, which are outdoor boundaries, which are the 2 pillars of Hercules, or the 11. Now they go to another vault, Vault 713. Well, that's interesting. You have the Septentrion, the 7 mountains, as I told you before, the 13 tribes that live at that central circular island. And then if we add these numbers together, I wonder, 11 again. 7 and 3 is 10, 1 is 11. Harry says, what's in that one? What's in the 11? He says, I can't tell you that, Harry. It's Hogwarts business. Stand back, says the little goblin midget. And all it is something wrapped up in some parchment. So Hagrid grabs it, says, don't worry about it. He says, next you need to find your wand. So Harry Potter goes to the wand guy. I forgot his name. But he goes to the wand dude, gets his wand, tries all the different wands out, and he goes, oh my God. Harry Potter lights up with light when he grabs this wand. And this guy's like, wow, curious. Very curious. Harry says, why is that curious? He says, it so happens that the phoenix, whose tail feather resides in your wand. I told you there was a phoenix connection to Harry Potter because Harry Potter is the phoenix. That blue beam, that light of the world that comes up out of Hari, my mountain, which can also be place of the mountain, okay? The I can be possessive or it can mean place of. That beam of energy shoots out and spreads out, creating those wings of the phoenix that is born from that mountain and dies in that mountain. Harry Potter is the phoenix. Now, the phoenix gave 2 feathers, one to Harry Potter, and the other one, this guy says, its brother gave you that scar. So now we have Harry Potter and we have the counterpart. There's always balance. We have Voldemort and we have Harry Potter. Voldemort's the ultimate wizard of evil. You'll meet him in just a bit, partially. But there's always 2 different ones, and I'm going to tell you a secret, okay? This is going to blow your mind. They're the same person. They're always the same person. I don't know about the storyline. I don't know about the wizarding world. I don't know about what J.K. Rowling thinks. I just know the esoteric truth. Harry Potter is Voldemort, and Voldemort is Harry Potter. Just like Agent Smith is Neo, and Neo is Agent Smith. The beginning is the end, and the end is the beginning. No matter how they're symbolized, they're the same. That's why they both have 1 feather from the phoenix in their wand. Who owned that wand, he says. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about these ancient cataclysms. Let's talk about, alternative cosmology. Let's talk about what goes on with this, cyclical reset. Oh, we do not speak his name. We don't talk about that. The first rule of the apocalypse is you do not talk about the apocalypse. We do not speak his name. Interesting. It's almost like a commandment or something, right? Which is funny because if you go back to the Old Testament, speaking of the commandments, there was some people might remember 1 or 2 of the commandments. I'll help to refresh your memory. One of the commandments was that you shall not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Most of you guys think that means don't say God damn it. Don't say Jesus Christ. Unless you're like saying it out of worship or something. That's not what that means. Don't take the Lord's name in vain, which it doesn't even say the Lord. It says the tetragrammaton, or these 4 letters, okay? That's a whole different story. But what it literally means, if you go all the way back to the original language, is it means you shall not bring the name to nothing. That's literally what that commandment means. You shall not bring the name to nothing. You shall not forget the name. You shall not make the name worthless. Well, that's exactly what the Jewish people did over time. because they felt when they were in captivity that they were surrounded by all of these heathens, and they kept hearing the name of the God whose name was contained within their own name, right? Being the tribe of Judah, or Yahuwah, the door of Yahuwah, or the door of Yahweh, you could say. So the people who kept them captive didn't really speak that language, so they just called them Yahoos, crazy people. And then the Jewish people thought that that was just sacrilegious, that they keep having to hear the name of their God referred to as a derogatory term. So they instituted their own rules apart from God's rules and said, we're not going to say that name anymore so that they don't know what it is. And they got so technical about it that they stopped saying the name of God to this day. To this day, they will not say the name of God. To this day, they will say Hashem. They will say the name. They will say Abba, Father. They will say Adonai. They will say anything but the name. And they have altogether made the name of their God come to nothing and forgotten it. Because they worship Voldemort. Oh, snap. Or they worship Harry Potter. Either way. Either I told you they're both the same. So Hagrid, he don't care. He don't care about the rules. He's a giant. He'll say the name. He's like, yeah, it's Harry, don't tell anyone, but it's Voldemort. What does Voldemort mean? Well, it's 3 words. Okay? It comes from French. Mort, or Mart, Mert, means death. D-E just means of. Vol is actually Baal. The B and the V are oftentimes interchangeable or change from dialect to dialect, but it's Baal de Mort, Lord of Death. That's exactly what his name means. It's not just a made-up word. It's real. Now, if his name is real, imagine what all the other characters' names mean. It's starting to give you clues to your very own reality. Who is Baal or Baal de Mort, the Lord of Death? Baal, Bahal, Baal, etc. is the apex dome. It's a ball in the sky. That's where we get the word ball from. People looked up. It doesn't have to be a sphere. That's different, okay? Just like a box doesn't have to be a cube. A ball does not have to be a sphere. Look at a football, for example, right? Or a wiffle ball or whatever. Anyways, it is the apex dome itself, okay? That brings death when people see it because it's an apocalyptic event. It's the evil eye in the sky. Harry's like, Voldemort. He goes, shh. Now we go back. We go back to Harry Potter's house. This is his parents' house when he was a baby. Kind of looks like a poltergeist or some crazy stuff's happening in that house. But you see all these blue beams shining out. Little baby Harry Potter's in there. Voldemort is also in there. So they're in there together. Now, they can never come together. They can never meet. If they ever meet, it's the apocalypse, okay? Little baby Harry Potter is being threatened by Voldemort's wand, and he gives him his scar. He says, nobody survived Voldemort except for you. Except for you. The one wearing all the blue, because he's the blue beam. He's Project Blue Beam, the Project Blue Beam, okay? That's him. That's Harry Potter. That's the light of the world. It's the return of Jesus, Project Blue Beam, all this stuff. He's the one that survives. He's the lone survivor every time. I mean, there might be humans and animals and all kinds of stuff that do survive, but he will be there. That beam of light, that beam of energy, that earth energy is going to appear, and it will stay for the whole age. Nobody survived except Harry. So Harry gets all his stuff. He's on his way to Hogwarts. He has to go to platform 9 3/4. So he's at the train station, and that means he has to go between 9 and 10, right into that brick wall again, going into the brick wall, right? He went into the brick wall last time. Now he's going to go into the brick wall again. So he starts making a run for it. Remember, the brick wall symbolizes the labyrinth or the mountains that surround that central island, which is a crater or a valley or a grail, you could say, the Holy Grail. He heads right at that brick wall. He goes right through it, closes his eyes, comes out the other side, passes right through it like it's nothing, looks back, exactly as had happened in the movie Labyrinth, where the main character, Sarah, didn't think that you could get through. She just was about to give up. It just goes on and on and on. There aren't any doors or windows or anything. No turns. And she meets the worm, and the worm's like, it's full of openings. There's one right there behind you. You just have to know where to look. There are openings in those surrounding walls at the center of the world. You just have to know where to look for them. So he has to go to platform 9 3/4. Why 9 3/4? Could have been anything, right? Well, 9 is this symbol. That's the Tet. That's the symbol of that central island that's cross-sectioned by 4 rivers at the center of the world. That's the Tet. That's 9. 3/4 is 3 and 4, which is 7 together. So here's the Tet, and on the outside of the Tet is the 3/4, or the ocean septentrionalis. You see that? Did I zoom in on that? Let's zoom in on that. The septentrionalis ocean, the ocean of the 7, September 7, okay? Which happens to be my birthday, September 7th. Septentrionalis, the 7 trees. Okay, the 7 pillars, the 7 heads of the beast that are going to rise up in the end times, the 7 mountains, etc. That's the 7, this location where you see 7 lights that shoot up into the sky. So the children, they have passed that boundary. They have gone across the ocean in our real world, and they're headed towards Hogwarts, which is right there in the middle, the castle in the center of the maze, okay? And it shows the kids on boats to get to Hogwarts. They're going across boats. Notice that Hogwarts is surrounded by a mist. There's a mist all the way around that island, because this place in the middle, that has a huge opening right there in the middle of it, which means there's warm tropical air coming from inside of the earth, and it's meeting the cold air out here in the Arctic, and it creates mist, creates fog. There's a pressure differential as well. So there should always be fog around this island at the center of the world whenever it is symbolized in movies. Oftentimes, you know. But why are they on boats? They didn't have to be on boats. If you know anything about the Harry Potter world, or if you have the video game like I do, because it's awesome, you know that Hogwarts is not an island. They could have walked there from Hogsmeade. They didn't have to take a boat. What's going on here? They needed to get this image in your mind that you need to cross over these dark waters. This particular lake is literally a black lake. And here's Hogwarts. So let's take a look at Hogwarts and all this stuff. Hogwarts is right next to a black lake. It's literally called Black Lake, which is the Crystal Lake. This is also Camp Crystal Lake, okay? But this right here, this lake is pure, undefiled water. Virgin water is where the light of the world is born up out of it. Pure water with no what's the word I'm looking for? Nothing in it, okay? No salt, no nothing. It's just pure water. When you have pure water, the light goes all the way through it. Nothing bounces back out, and it makes the water look black, which is why this is the dark water, where the pirates are from, by the way. Okay? Everyone from this island is basically a pirate, okay? In different ways, different tribes of pirates. But these are the pirates of dark water. Some of you guys might not know what I'm talking about. Anyways, so this is the dark water. This is the dark that they have to cross to get to Mount Meru, which is this castle. See how it's on a mountain? Okay? The castle is just like sort of personifying it. It's not really a castle. It is Rupus Nigra. It's the dark mountain. And it's always underneath the moon, too. So they oftentimes will put the moon in there. Now, what else? So this is it. This is Hogwarts. What does Hogwarts mean, though? What is that? Let's look that up. Well, you might think hog, pig. I get that. I understand. But hog was a word for different animals in antiquity, not just pigs. If you look it up, it says here, I asked, can hog refer to a young sheep? I already knew it did, but I thought I'd ask so I can get the answer here. Yes, in agricultural terminology, particularly in the UK and Ireland, and Australia and New Zealand, a hog, oftentimes spelled with 2 G's, or called a hogget, hoggle, labyrinth, refers to a young sheep between weaning and its first shearing, typically between 9 and 18 months of age. Okay, whatever. It is a young sheep. Interesting. Hog, young sheep. Warts. What is warts? You might think, oh, it's a wart on your skin. It's blemish. It's a blemished sheep. It's something nasty or something. Well, this might surprise you. If we look up the etymology of wart, from the Middle English, varda, with a D. That's interesting. From Proto-Germanic wardus, with a D again. And it means keeper, watchman, guard, guardian, protector. Or in German, Wart, W-A-R-T. Hogwart, protector of little sheep. Hogwarts, young sheep protectors, or the protector of little sheep. That's why they're going there. The sheep have been herded up. The little children are coming to the light of the world and at the middle of the world. And they must. They're not actually children. Remember, that's you. That's all of you out there symbolically on these boats going to Hogwarts, okay? After the apocalypse, this is all you following a big giant or whatever on the way to Rupus Nigra Mount Meru. Children, okay? You cannot go to this island unless you are a child, because this island will not show up until the time that children rule the world. The lost children of the world will rule the world. That's us right now. You might look at me and see facial hair and all this stuff and you think, okay, he's not a child or whatever. Yes, I am. Okay, we have an aging disease. We have aged way too quickly during the time where time is speeding up. Now, they get to Hogwarts and one of the headmasters says, before you go pig out on some food right now, you must be sorted into your houses. 4 houses. I already knew before they even said it. Not just because I like Harry Potter and wizard stuff, and sci-fi and stuff, but I mean, it has to be. It has to be 4 houses. If Hogwarts is the center of the world, there are only 4 lands at the center of the world, represented by these 4 different symbols. This is a form of like astrology, except it's the Earth. The Earth is the #1 influencer in astrology because all of the stars are in the Earth. So these are the 4 corners of the Earth right here. And oftentimes, Native Americans will paint them in these exact colors when they're depicting them symbolically. It is these places, the 4 corners of the Earth. These are the 4 tribes. These are where the 4 families are split in 3 groups each, which means there's 12 tribes total. This middle one is the priestly tribe, the 13th tribe, you could say. And traditionally, they're not really counted because they go down with the ship, allegedly. Okay? But we've got all 13 bloodlines right there. She even says your house will be like your family. Tribe, family, that's what we're looking at. This is real, okay? This is real life. This isn't a movie. This isn't a story. This isn't just something amusing for you to watch for a couple of hours while you just zone out. This is study material. Shh. Now, they meet some of the bad guys, or Slytherin. They're not really bad. Okay, just because they're Slytherin does not mean that they're bad. But a lot of bad wizards come from Slytherin, okay? We got this blonde head kid, and he's like, this is crab and this is goyle. Like a nasty bug, sea bug, like a crab and a gargoyle. My name's Draco Malfoy, and I'm the best there ever was. This confident, cocky little sucker. I'm Draco Malfoy. Some people vibe with Draco. I don't. I get it. I can see the appeal. But whatever. He's just a kid. He doesn't know any better. You guys don't know any better. I don't know any better. Now, Ron Weasley starts snickering at his name, Draco Malfoy. He looks right at him. He goes, red hair, hand-me-down robe, you must be a Weasley. Just a sniveling little sucker. So he hurts Ron's feelings, right? And he goes right up to Harry Potter because he's trying to like recruit him. This is what happens in your world. Like I said, you're being taught witchcraft. This happens every day. Some alpha male Slytherin is going to come up to you as the new guy or the new girl, wherever it may be, and try to shake your hand and try to get you on their groups and on their side, especially if they recognize you have a lot of energy. If they recognize you have a lot of spirit and a lot of soul to you, they don't want you to be their opponent. They want you to be on their side, and they want to establish dominance. So watch what happens. He goes, "You'll soon find out, Harry Potter, that some wizarding families are better than others, Potter. You don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort." And then they pan in on Ron, the redheaded stepchild. He says, "I can help you there." Just evil, man. Just ew, right? Bad vibes. So Harry, after he holds out his hand like, "Here, shake my hand, let's make a deal. Join my side. Join the dark side." Harry's like, "I think I can tell the wrong sort from myself, thanks." Bam! That's my favorite part of this whole movie. That's my favorite part. Just dismisses Draco Malfoy. I just love it. Oh, man. I just love it so much. I think I can tell the wrong sort for myself. I'm not succumbing to your little peer pressure, popular kid. I'm good. I'm fine with who I am. I'm content. I'm satisfied, buddy. People that act like this are not satisfied. They're lacking. So they go around giving this false sense of, alpha male, whatever. Alpha, it doesn't have to be male. It could be alpha female, whatever. So they're going down the hallway. Everybody's sitting in there getting ready to eat some grub, sorted into their houses. They look up and they see these luminaries up in the sky above them. And Hermione Granger makes a point. It's not real, the ceiling. It's not real, the ceiling. They're looking up at the luminaries. They tell you, it's not real, the ceiling. It's just bewitched. It's bewitched to look like the night sky. And they show you clouds and moonlight and candles up there floating around. It's not real. Space, looking through the magic eye, which is the apex dome, which is the eye of Providence, that creates the stars, looking through it and past it and actually, using your imagination. That's one of the times when you're allowed to. You're seeing it turn into 3 dimensions, and you're imagining you could fly out there and land on one of those star systems and whatever. It's not real. It's the ceiling to your world. You're staring at the ceiling. You're staring at the wall. They bewitched it to look like the night sky. So then they pick Hermione. I didn't bother looking up her name, so feel free if you would like to share. Hermione Granger. She gets picked to wear the sorting hat. This sorting hat, they put it on top of you, and it tells you everything about you. Sounds to me like the witches have like different forms of technology or something too, which is interesting because that's what they say about Atlantis, that they have advanced forms of technology. So they put this sorting hat on top of her head, and it tells her exactly what house she belongs in. Well, this is also a type of what used to be called the dunce cap. The bad kid in class, the stupid kid in class that couldn't get it, that couldn't learn, they would put a dunce cap on him and put them in the corner, and it turned into a humiliation ritual. But it wasn't always so. The kid that wore this cone-shaped hat, it wasn't always to humiliate them, it was to help them, actually, because people made a connection between those individuals that wore cone-shaped hats and looked like they might have pointy heads of some kind, and real, actual intelligence. Wise people, wizards, witches, and the like. Nobility was also associated with the cone-shaped hat, the pointy hat. So they would put this cone-shaped pointy hat on the kid that just wasn't learning the lesson in hopes that they associated the hat with being intelligent. They thought that somehow the ether would like seep down into your brain and help you out, which is funny because that's how stupid they actually were. They don't understand it is not the pointy hat that makes you intelligent. But people started to wear it anyways because they wanted to dress like the gods. They wanted to dress like the immortals. They wanted to dress like the actual intelligent people who lived for hundreds and hundreds of years, and skulls kept growing, noses kept growing, ears kept growing. Had to change their style of clothing to accommodate. This is called the Phrygian cap. I like to call it the Smurf hat. You can call it whatever you want to. It's a pointy hat, and it's pointy for a reason. This translated over into the entertainers, people who would sort of be the jesters and jokers, and they would mock nobility as the court jesters. And they would get a good laugh as they would roast nobility because nobody would dare to do that. But these people were allowed to, so they would dress up like nobles. And they became jesters and clowns and even influencers sometimes. But this is where the pointy hat symbolism comes from. You see, it was practical. It served a purpose at one point in time. But once people forgot the purpose because the world changed, it drifted into forgetfulness, into oblivion, or what I like to call ancient oblivion, which happens to be the name of my books. Gryffindor, the hat says. Everybody celebrates because that's the favorite. That's my favorite. I'm sure I'm House Gryffindor. You guys could easily figure out which house you are, because there's really only 4 different personality types that stem from the 4 cardinal directions, which come from the center of the world. Okay? It's energetic. It's all energetic. They didn't even put the hat on this kid before the hat is screaming, Slytherin! Like, I don't want to touch this kid. He's so evil. And Draco knows. He don't care. He wants to be the evil one. He loves it. He thinks evil's great. Now it's Harry Potter's turn. He's like, anything but Slytherin. I don't care. Just don't make me Slytherin. If he gets Slytherin, he becomes, what's his name? Beelzebub? Voldemort. Yeah. So if he gets Slytherin, that's what happens. And this is going to happen every cycle. Every time there's going to be a different Harry Potter. And I'm just speaking symbolically in our world, okay? There's going to be a Hufflepuff Harry Potter. There's going to be a Slytherin Harry Potter, etc. Gryffindor! Okay, yay, everybody's favorite. By the way, the word Griffin also, which implies that he is one of the Tartarians, because that's their symbol as well, is the Griffin. Okay, the doorway of the Griffins, the door that allows Griffins. Griffins lived in the north. They lived up in the Arctic. Okay, whatever a Griffin is, okay, whatever it may be, they lived and they were known to be in the Arctic. Gryffindor. Okay, so he celebrates. Now you start to meet John Cleese, or nearly Headless Nick. You see all these ghosts that just fill this entire place. Hogwarts is being full of ghosts. It's constantly full of ghosts, actually. And they make a point to show you that Hogwarts is full of ghosts. It didn't have to be full of ghosts, but there's a reason. It has to be full of ghosts because this is the necropolis of the earth. The earth has a city of the dead, a place where all the energy accumulates in the middle. So underneath Hogwarts is the land of the dead, the realm of the dead. And some of those dead might come up from time to time when there's electromagnetic fluctuations. So they have to show you. This is also the containment. Like if you watch the Ghostbusters, and we're gonna check out Ghostbusters Part 2 here pretty soon. You know how they have their containment unit or whatever, where they put all the ghosts? That's Mount Meru. Mount Meru is the containment unit. And anyways, I don't want to get back. We'll go over that again. But I did decode the first Ghostbusters. Next time it's going to be Part 2. Now they're going up to their quarters and they see all these paintings and they're like, look, they're moving. Oh my God. The paintings, the pictures, they're moving about. That girl right there does a little curtsy. The paintings are talking to them. And this is just considered magic when we already have this. Somebody can take a picture of, oh, there's a little bug in here. My God, freaking bug in my room. A little flying bug. Anyway, somebody can take your picture, okay? They can take a screenshot of me right now, making a goofy face or whatever, it doesn't matter. They can run it through AI. They can copy and clone my voice with just a 3 to 7 second sample. They can bring me to life. They can make a living image of me. They can imbue it with AI that has my personality trained on thousands of my videos. And they can put me and stick me into a freaking picture to be stuck there forever. Don't do that. Please don't do that to me. Okay? Anyways, let's move on. So this lady asks for the password because they need to walk through the picture like they're Mary Poppins or something to get to their dorm rooms. Password? He says Caput Draconis is the password. Well, it's interesting. It's Latin. It's the dead language, right? Well, if you understand, if you research, if you speak Latin, you can understand what it means. Caput means head. It's the root of the word capital, and many other things too. But it is the caput draconis, which means dragon, the head of the dragon. So this house is the head of the dragon. Interesting. And just because it's a dragon doesn't mean it's evil either, okay? Calm down. There are evil dragons and there's good dragons. There's balance to everything. All right, so Harry Potter's reading the newspaper and he sees that the little goblin bank has been robbed. And the goblins are lying, saying that they insist nothing was taken. The vault in question was 713, or 11, which is where he just was. It had been emptied earlier that day. Now, Harry Potter kind of shows off a little on his broomstick, so she decides he's going to be the next seeker, which is interesting because it's just short for truth seeker, really, okay? So he becomes the next seeker. He's going to go after the golden Quidditch, and there's a whole sports theme that I'm not really that into, even though it's cool if you like sports or whatever. Anyways, so they go, all three of them, Ron, Hermione, and Harry, go down underground, under Hogwarts, okay? They're snooping around. They don't belong down there. And what happens? They meet a dog that has 3 heads. It's a 3-headed dog that's guarding whatever's down there. Now, what is it guarding? I'll tell you ahead of time. It's guarding the Sorcerer's Stone. It's guarding the Philosopher's Stone. And I'll explain to you what that is, okay? Because it's real. But there is a 3-headed dog, and it is guarding down there, okay? It was called Cerberus in ancient times. And it was the 12th labor of Hercules. Hercules was given these impossible tasks to keep him busy. One of his tasks was to go down into the underworld and get Cerberus, the dog, the 3-headed dog that guarded the underworld, and capture it. So he goes down, he captures it. But this is the 3-headed dog that guards the Tree of Life. It guards Yggdrasil. It guards the central island at the middle of the world. Why? Because there is an anode, there is a cathode, and there's Mount Meru in the middle. And together they create this, what can be perceived as a 3-headed god or dog or monster or whatever. Now, later on in the film, Hermione's going to the bathroom, and lo and behold, she gets trolled. Quite actually by an actual troll. Well, this is interesting. I wanted to talk about the word troll for just a moment. I was explaining this to my son. I asked him, do you know that trolls and dragons are actually related? And he was like, wow, that's really interesting. We were talking about 21 Pilots and their song called Drag Path, which is also highly esoteric. But troll, what does troll mean? Well, troll means to drag along the ground. That's what it means. So if someone's trolling you, they're being a drag. They're literally dragging you down. That's why we call people trolls. As to whether or not there were actual human beings that look giant and weird and stuff and troll-like, yes, there could be. Could they drag people off into the forest? Yes, they can. But there is another aspect to trolls and dragons aside from physical creatures. Dragons... One moment. Dragons are plasma filaments, as I said. They will undulate in the sky when they get close to the ground. The muddy ground, soft ground, will be attracted to all of that negative energy, and it will lift up. Just like when you rub a balloon on your hair and you lift your hair up, same thing happens with the ground, okay? So the dragons are literally those who drag upon the ground, okay, when they get close to the ground. When they're not close to the ground, they're not really called dragons. They're called other things like fiery serpents and worms and stuff like that in the sky. But when they get close to the ground, they become those who drag, or the dragons that drag along the ground. When the land gets pulled up, those are the trolls. That's the portion that gets drug along behind the dragon. Okay. And that's why when people go to see where the dragon was or whatever, sometimes they will see rock. So this gives way to the theory that trolls see the light and they become petrified and they turn into stone. okay? When it's really just a process, a natural process of the earth being lifted up, the wet, muddy earth being lifted up, and the electrical charge running through it, ridding it of all of the water and everything, and petrifying it, even possibly changing its chemical bonds and stuff to petrify it and to turn it into stones and mountain ridges and all that type of stuff that can be interpreted as like the spines of dragons. So people will say sometimes that it's a troll. Sometimes they'll say it's the back of a dragon, like a mountain ridge or something. Now they go talk to Hagrid because he's just giving them all the secrets. He can't keep a secret to save his life. So he's like, what that dog is guarding is strictly between Professor Dumbledore and Nicholas Flamel. Then he's like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, which is, he says that all the time. So Nicholas Dumbledore and Flamel. Well, Flamel just means flame, okay? It means light, it means flame. Dumbledore's first name is Albus, and Albus means white, okay? So a white light. Symbolically. I'm not sure how to wear my little cape right now. It's getting hot. It's getting hot. I'm going to take off the cape. Hold on. My room's getting hot. This is nice and warm. This was given to me by one of you, actually. So, thank you once again. Oh man, that's so much better. I was getting burning up in that thing. Those capes keep you nice and warm. I asked for a cape a long time ago in one of my episodes, and one of my subscribers happened to watch that episode and sent me that cape. So now I have a cape. That's where that comes from. Isn't that awesome that you guys do that kind of stuff? Change my life. I love it. You guys are amazing. Nicholas Flamel, let's continue on. Now, Harry Potter gets an invisibility cloak. You might think that's just magic. That's just not real. There's no such thing as an invisibility cloak. He puts it on. He turns invisible. You could see right through him. Weasley's mind is blown. He looks up. He's like, my body's gone. Is it magic? Or is it reality? We have an invisibility cloak already. We have technology already where people have created been able to bend light in certain ways so that you can't see the object that's right on the other side of it. This is not AI. This is not green screen technology. There are fake videos out there of people with invisibility cloaks that do use green screens and stuff like that. Those are usually some of the older ones, but this is not. This is actual real technology of people just bending light through a particular substance and they disappear. Now, given it has to be the right conditions and stuff, but you can use technology to refract light in different ways to make a person or an object invisible. I thought that was interesting. Now they realize they're looking for the Philosopher's Stone. Hermione's like, you guys don't know what that is? Don't you read? It's a legendary substance with astonishing powers. It can transform or transmute any metal into pure gold. And it produces the elixir of life. So let's talk about the Philosopher's Stone. A stone that can change base metals or lower metals into gold. Okay, that is real. That is conceivable. That can happen and does happen. You might wonder, why is gold so valuable then? Well, because it costs human beings a lot of money in order to make this happen, which they can do in a lab, okay? But they make minuscule amounts of it. The Earth, however, has a device, or a type of what we might call a device. It's just nature at the center of the world that does the same thing. Mount Meru is the Philosopher's Stone, and it can change the bonds. It can exchange protons or electrons or both or whatever. Can't remember off the top of my head right now. But it can change something from one element into another element through electricity. And it produces the elixir of life, which is the fountain of youth, which will make the drinker immortal. Those people that live at the center of the world, like I said, they live for hundreds and hundreds of years. And it's because of the abundant amount of energy rushing through their cellular structure constantly, all the time. They can't stop having energy. They're vigorous. Let's look at some examples from antiquity, especially from alchemy, alchemical drawings, because the Philosopher's Stone is a type of alchemical reference, okay, which is an ancient way of saying scientific reference. But they're showing you this machine that creates this elixir of life. There's this box underneath, which is the same as Mount Meru and Pandora's box and all that stuff, okay? That creates this elixir of life. And it splits into 3 heads. You see these 3 circles up here, and they are contained within what looks like these frilly clouds. And right next to it, it says spiritus, anima, and corpus. So spirit, soul, and body together. And we've got symbols and stuff, okay? Well, if you understand, if you research, you can know what these are. The Philosopher's Stone is pictured here as well. We have Adam and Eve. We have positive and negative. And in between them we have, and you can even see they got beams of something coming up out of their heads, okay? This is positive, negative, anode, cathode, Mount Meru in the middle. Literally the black rock that has the tree of life growing up out of it, which is the 3rd plasma in the middle. The snake in the middle, Harry Potter right there in the middle, the phoenix, the bird of creation, and right above them, the apex dome, which is this huge blue area. Otherwise, the sky in the background over here would be blue. But it's the apex dome that produces the moon and the sun. This is the Philosopher's Stone. It is right here. It's gigantic. It's not something you could just hold in your hand. And it's not the stone itself that will change base metals into gold. It's not the stone itself, but it's the light that comes out of the stone from inside. It's the tree of life. It is this that changes things. Here's another version where you can see that sort of box at the bottom. That's Mount Meru. And remember, the 4 rivers go right to Mount Meru, or the tree of life. Here's the tree of life with the snake. Here is Adam. Here is Eve. There's the beams coming up from each one of them respectively. The sun, the moon, all the usual characters. We've got a red lion. This one's yellow, but sometimes there's a green one. So she says the only stone currently in existence belongs to Mr. Nicholas Flamel. Nicholas means victory of the people, in case you were wondering. The flame is the victory of the people. It's the flame that comes up out of that central mountain. Noted alchemist who last year celebrated his 665th birthday, which means this year will be his 666th birthday. The kids all get in trouble. They go to detention. Detention is them having to go into the haunted forest. All right, the haunted forest is this huge overgrown area in that circular land at the center of the world. Right around the outskirts, just after you hit the labyrinth, you will hit the haunted forest, okay? It's just an overgrown area that they let grow, okay? And it's full of fog and mist and animals and stuff. So they see this unicorn, and it's being feasted upon by some sort of shadowy creature. Malfoy's terrified. He takes off. Harry Potter just stands there watching this creature suck the blood of a unicorn. Now, for more information on the unicorn, please go watch my movie called Death of a Unicorn, because that's all what the whole movie's about. Okay, you'll learn everything about unicorn symbolism and what the unicorn is. But a centaur comes out of nowhere and starts talking to Harry Potter. He says, "You're known to many creatures here, Harry Potter." Let's look up what a centaur is. Let's see what the actual word means. Well, if we look up the etymology of centaur, it's actually Kent-tor. Kent-tor. Or Kentauros. Kentor. Interesting. Check that out. You see that? Kind of like Clark Kent, right? Kentorian. Kentorion. From centaur. Kentauros. Centaur. Okay. Well, let's check that out. What does Kent mean, I wonder? Well, if you look up Kent, it says right here, coastal district, or corner land. Land on the edge of the world is the Kent that is being referenced. It is those 4 corners. Those are the edge of, that's the edge of the world right there in the middle. where the cornerstone is. So Kent and then Or. Or can mean light, but in this particular one, Orion, you see where it says Orion right there next to me? That means gold or golden, which means light or implies light by extension. Okay, shining. Now, Chiron was probably the most famous of all of the centaurs. He tends to be the nicest, the most educated. Centaurs tend to be pretty savage people, okay? But Chiron was known as being like a healer and somebody that worked with everyone. He was very educated. He was very proper. He was very tactful. People weren't usually afraid of Chiron. He actually was the mentor for people like myself, Jason, for example, Jason and the Argonauts, and Achilles from the Trojan War. So he actually mentored them. But if you look at his name, Chiron, the O-N at the end is just a suffix. It means one who, and then we have Chi-Ro or Chi-Ro, which is why he mentors all of these heroes across time. It's the he and the ro. That's how you pronounce CHI. CHI is chi or life, okay? The chi and the ro. He-ro. This is also the symbol that people call the he-ro, right? This X with the P, it's not really an X and a P. This is the land at the center of the world. This is the mountain at the middle with the blue beam coming up all the way to the top to the apex dome. We have two letters here, A and W, which is where you get your A and W root beer. Like I said, all of your brands and stuff like that come from this stuff. It's not A and W. It's actually Alpha and Omega. Omega a long time ago is written kind of like a W. But it's Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end, and this is the symbol for it. The place where it begins, the place where it ends. Now the kids fall into this weird devil's snare stuff and they start panicking, and Hermione's like, it's devil's snare, you have to relax and it'll let go of you or whatever. So they say stop moving and calm down. You have to relax. This is good instructions for you. There's going to come a time when you need to relax, especially whenever you're in the apocalypse. You need to calm down. Slow your breathing, slow your heart rate, ground yourself, think a happy thought, whatever it is, but chill out or the plasma is going to get you. I promise. You're going to panic. You're going to pass out. You're going to get sucked up and eaten by the freaking plasma worms. Also, these little wormy looking deals are plants. Devil's snare. So this is literally gigantic vines that will exist in the future, in the coming world when gigantism returns to our world. Vines don't care. They just wrap around whatever's nearby. So if you have rapidly growing gigantic vines and they happen to get near you and feel you, they might start twisting around your leg or something and attack you without even trying to really attack you. So it would be wise for you to learn the world around you, your environment, and how it acts on a small scale, so you can be prepared for when the reality of it existing in a larger scale comes. I don't know why I couldn't speak English just now. I was like, I didn't know how to say that. So you know what I mean? So you can be prepared whenever all the plants get big, okay? Anyways, they go even further underground and they see all these flying keys. He's like, there are keys flying around. One of them opens that door. So there's all these false keys flying around like butterflies or birds or whatever. There's all these false keys in the world. There's one key that will open the right door. Okay? This is a biblical passage. There will be many false Christs. Okay? The key is also the Christ. Many false Christs in the world. There's going to be one true one. You need to learn to know which one is the correct one. Otherwise, you're not going to get into the Garden of Eden. You're going to settle down at some other place where there's like a big blue beam shooting up out of a cave or whatever, but it's not the right one. You need to learn to recognize the right one if you'd like to live in paradise for 1,000 years. I would. So one of them opens that door. Harry Potter opens the door. He goes in and he sees this professor who's like sort of a stutterer and wears a turban. He's sort of a nobody in the movie, kind of weirdo. And he's like, no, I thought it was going to be Snape. For sure, it has to be Snape. just because they look evil doesn't mean they are evil, okay? Professor Snape was trying to help everybody out and take this guy down. The most unassuming person, right? And this is how evil oftentimes takes its form, in unassuming figures. Just like the agents in the Matrix, they jumped into homeless people. They jumped into like regular people in the Matrix and stuff, right? Well, that's him. He's like a regular guy or whatever. So Harry Potter's like, no way, it can't be. He's like, yeah, you would expect someone like Snape because they're weird, they're strange, they look dark, they're kind of gothic, right? Not poor stuttering Professor Quirrell. Then he takes off his turban and we see, lo and behold, it is the face of Voldemort. Which, strangely enough, he has a nose. I don't know. I don't know. I don't remember all the Harry Potter movies. I can't remember why he loses his nose, but like, he's not supposed to have a nose. But he has a nose in the first one. I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe you guys can tell me. Anyways, he goes, Harry Potter, we meet again. Now this is interesting because remember, the guy is looking in the mirror. Remember what I said about Harry Potter and Voldemort being the same person? That's the back of the dude's head. Voldemort's head is in the back of his head. So when Voldemort is looking directly at Harry Potter right here, it's the mirror. Harry Potter is looking into the mirror and seeing himself, his own reflection, or a possible version of himself. We meet again. He says, I'm forced to live off of other people like a parasite, which is what this is what the devil does in the world today. Voldemort's the devil, okay? He's basically the devil. And that's what the devil does. That's what evil does. That's what poor energy, bad energy does, is it leeches off of other people. It possesses other people. Unicorn blood can sustain me. See the back of his head? But it cannot give me a body of my own. But there is something that can, which is the Philosopher's Stone, which has the elixir of life. Voldemort wants Mount Meru. The devil of today wants to own the seat of God, the throne of God. The devil today is going to manifest in the form of the sun. I'm just going to call it ahead of time. So that way, when everything starts burning up and the sun starts getting way too hot and you guys remember, you'll be like, hey, didn't JayDreamerZ talk about that? Maybe I should go back and watch some of his older videos. But anyways, Voldemort. So Harry Potter realizes that he has the Sorcerer's Stone, the Philosopher's Stone in his pocket. That's why it's called the Philosopher's Stone, by the way, because we're talking about philosophy. We're talking about belief systems. We're talking about what is our history? What is our future? We're being philosophers, okay? Which is a form of science on its own and a part of science. You have to be a philosopher to be a scientist, actually. Now, he saves the world, okay? He kills Voldemort, turns into a cloud and passes right through Harry Potter. And everything's good. He wakes up in a little hospital bed or whatever, and he talks to Albus Dumbledore, and he says, he's like, how did I get the stone? He's like, you see, only a person who wanted to find the stone, find it, but not use it, would be able to get it. This is my favorite Dumbledore, by the way. I was really sad and kind of upset when they changed the actor. In the other movies, they got a different Dumbledore. I don't know if he died or what, but it's the same dude in The Count of Monte Cristo that teaches Edward how to like fence with the stick and all that stuff. Same guy. I love this dude. So somebody that is looking for Mount Meru, somebody that is looking for the Garden of Eden or the Fountain of Youth, but you don't have selfish purposes. You're not trying to go there to fill your pockets with all of One-Eyed Willie's gold so that you can come back out here to the Southlands and rule the world, or so that you can go there and get eternal life to come back out here to change the world and to rule over everybody. That's not what it's for. It's not meant for you. It's meant for the people who are just looking for it because you need rest, because you're just tired and you're a good person and you want to go home. You don't want to take pieces of home out here to the Southlands. You would like to stay there. So it's meant for those type of people to find it. And that is where he gets back on the train, and for some god-awful reason I don't understand, he goes back to the land of the Muggles, to his aunt and uncle, instead of just like getting an apartment locally and living off of his gold and just staying in the area. But he has to go back to the land of the Muggles. It's because it's a cycle. That's why, okay? Harry Potter has to disappear, and then he has to reappear. He has to disappear and reappear because he is the blue beam of the world. There you can see the crepuscular rays coming out from the apex dome, shining down onto Mount Meru right there, symbolically. And the movie was directed, bonus, by Christopher Columbus, who has his eyes on you, always watching. And I am too. So I hope you guys are always watching too. Thanks a lot. I hope you guys enjoy my presentations. If you like these presentations, go check out my playlist. I got like 180 different movies, I think, that we have decoded, all different. Might surprise you, some of the movies that you found, just like this. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.
Time to wake